Hello friends, my name is Jasprit. I am Masters in Computer Science and having a training experience of more than 2 years. In the last session, we have discussed about the control statements. Basically, the control statement helps us to specify the flow of the program. It mainly instructs the program in which manners the following instructions will flow on the program. Now, in the previous session, we have discussed about the two control statements, that are decision control statements and the loop control statements, right? In this session, we are going to discuss about the rest of the types. So let's have the overview of the session. In this session, we are going to cover the case control statements and the jumping statements and the practice questions. What are case control statements? It is used to allow the value of a variable or expression to change the control of a program execution through a multiple way. So the best example of case control statement is the switch statements. Now let's discuss switch statements in detail. Switch statements is like a menu driven program, right? And it's used to solve the multiple option type problems. So basically the switch statements is like a menu driven program. A menu will be there, that option A, option B, option C, or case 1, case 2, case 3, right? And a user has to choose one case, and after that the related program or the instruction will be done. Let's focus on the syntax of the switch statement. In the syntax, the switch has the integer expression, right? Now we are going to find out it's a switch, suppose I, and we have discussed I is equal to, be given a value 3, or we can simply write int I. Now the value of I will be taken from the user. Here we have already defined the value of I, right? So the value of I, let's see this example. The value of I is equal to 3. Now the value of here I is 3. Going further, in the blocks, it's case constant 1, case constant 2, case constant 3, and the default value, right? So if the value of the I matches with the case constant, it will execute this instruction. If the value matches with the case constant 2, then it will do the execute this instruction, right? So here the value of I is equal to 3. So it will directly go to the case constant 3 and it will execute this instruction, or this is the set of block. So the output will be do this, let's say do this 3, right? Because it contains the case value of 3. So here the value output is do is this 3, because we executing the case 3. What happen is, it simply checks the value of I and directly go to the third case. It doesn't go for first case and then after second case for matches the value. No, it directly go to the third case, right? So if I said the value of I is 4, but we have the only 3 cases here, so the value is executed the default case. If the value doesn't matches with any of the cases, then the default case will execute, right? So let's understand this with the help of a flow chart. Here the start of the program, if the value of I is 1 or the case 1 is true, then statement 1 will be executed. If case 2 will be true, then statement 2 will be executed, and so on. And after that it will terminate the program. Let's discuss the example of a switch statement. See here the value of I is 2. Already the value of I is given in the program. Switch I, it means here the value of I is 2. It will directly go to the case 2 and the output will be this is statement 2. So it will print this is statement 2, right? So the output will be this is statement 2. So what happened if I say that the value of I is 2 and default is not here? Directly it says that case 3 printf this is statement 3, and after that printf default statement. Again go to the program, check that the value of I is 2. After that case 2 will execute. So what will the output of this program? Now the output of this program will be this is statement 2 and the default statement. Why? Because this printf will be done and after that it will execute the default statement. So the output will be this is statement 2 and the default statement, right? So what is the basic difference between the switch statement and if else ladder? So the switch statement does the same thing as the if else ladder, right? Because directly go to that particular cases, that case 3 will be executed or case 2 will be executed. And what is if else ladder do? It only checking the instructions. If condition 1 is true, it will execute that block, else it will execute the other block, right? So what is basic difference between the switch statement and the if else ladder? Basically that cannot be used with a switch. Number one, a float expression cannot be tested using a switch statement, right? We can't say that the case point 3, right? This cannot be used in a switch statement. Only two things will be using: integer value or a character value. Cases can be in the form of 1, 2, 3 in the integer form or in the character form, that is case A, case B, case C, right? And cases can never have a variable expressions. For example, we can say that case 1 plus 3. This cannot have. So the cases can never have a variable expression, and at the last, multiple cases cannot use the same expressions, right? Suppose if case A has the same expression and case B is also having a same expressions. Now let's move to the last type of a control statement, that are called jumping statements. So these statements are used to skip a part of a loop or the loop as soon as a specific condition is satisfied. It means that it will skip a particular part of that loop or the whole loop, right? And after that it will terminate the program as soon as the particular specific or a particular statement is satisfied. The type of jumping statements, there are three types of jumping statements: break statements, continue statements, and go to statements. In the switch statements, commonly use the break statements. Continue we use for the do while loop, right? And go to, we are avoiding the go to statement, but now we are discussing this statement in the session. So let's move to the break statement. So it is used to terminate the loop or the switch statements and continue the statement following the loop or a switch. So basically it works on two things, that is a loop and a switch statements, right? So let's see the example. Here the local variable definition, that is int a is equal to 12, and after that the condition will be check. Condition is while a is or smaller than 25, and after that the output, that is printf, and then incrementation, and inside the while loop there is a if block to further checking for the condition, that is a is greater than or less than the 15, and again the break statement, right? So let's discuss this program, that is what is the output of this program. Let's say, so the value of a is 12, it's fixed, it will go for the checking, condition checking, and the while 12 is less than 25, so it will go for inside the block and the value will print, that is value of a. The value of a is 12, right? It will go for the increment. Now the value becomes 13, right? It checked for the if block. Now further it goes for the if block. The condition says inside the if block is that if a is greater than 15, so a is smaller than 15, the condition becomes false. It will go again for the while loop, again the condition becomes true, right? It will again for the print statement. Now the value is 13, again incrementation, the value becomes 14, right? Again the condition is false, this condition is false, again it will go for the while loop, again print 14, incrementation, it says 15, right? Now in this case it again the value is false because there is not greater than or equal to, it only says greater than, right? Here 15 will also be printed. Again after the incrementation of 15 the value becomes 16. Now this condition becomes true, it will go inside the if block and says break. this break will terminate the program. As soon as the if statement is satisfied, the if statement becomes true, it will go inside the if statement, that becomes break, and after the break statement it will terminate the loop or the program. The only output will be 12 to 15. So break statement are used to terminate or to break that loop or the switch statements, right? The continue statements. By skipping a current cycle in between, it forces the next iteration of the loop to take place, right? Again, what will happen? Continue statements are used to skip that particular part of that loop, and then continue means it will go on for the further execution or further iteration. Similarly, the continue statement will continue in the next iteration. The syntax says that while condition check, right? If the condition is satisfied, it will go for that block, and inside the block there is a if statement or if loop is there, and it will check some condition again. If the condition is satisfied, then it will go for the continue, right? If the statement is not satisfied, it will directly go for the statement 3. So this says that in the while loop, if the while loop has the condition check, right? If the condition becomes true, it will execute statement 1 and statement 2, right? And further inside the while loop there is a if loop, and again if the if loop condition is satisfied, it will continue. It will continue means it will skipping that part again. And if the condition is not satisfied, if the statement if this one, if this block becomes false, the statement of if loop becomes false, then it will go for the 3 and 4 statement for the execution, right? So now just clear this concept with the help of example. See what gonna happen is int a is equal to 5. Again the local variable definition is there. Do loop will start if a is equal to 10. This is means equal to, right? So if a is equal to 10, then block if will execute and the value becomes incremented by 1. See, we can say like this, or we can say this, the value will be incremented by 1 and then continue, right? But if this statement is false, it will directly go for this printf statement, right? The value will be printed of the a, and then incrementation, and then after that while loop, the condition checking. See, so now let's focus on the output of this program. So what is the output of this program? So the value of a is equal to 5, right? After that do loop will continue. So here 5, value of a is 5, right? It will go for inside the do loop. Here the condition is not satisfied, condition becomes false because 5 is not equal to 10. It will simply go for the printf statement and the value of a 5, right? After that the 5 become incremented and the value becomes 6, ending curly braces. Again while statement, while loop will be there. So now the condition is again true because 6 is smaller than 15. It will again go for the do loop for the execution. Again this condition is not satisfying. What will gonna happen? It will go for the print. Now the value becomes 6 because here after incrementation, and again checking for that, now the value becomes 7. Again checking for the while loop, again the condition is satisfied, so it will continue. After the value, here the value becomes 10, it will go for that do while inside the do loop. Now if, see here, now this statement is true, right? Because 10 is equal to 10, the value of a becomes equal to the given value, given condition, that is 10. Now this if block will execute. Now the value becomes 10 plus 1, that is 11, and after that continue. So it will skip that part, and again this loop will execute. See, and after this again the condition will check. Now the condition become false because here the value of a is 11, which is not equal to the given condition, that is 10, right? So it will again printing the value, and now the value becomes 11. It will goes on printing till 15 while this condition becomes false. When this condition becomes false, it will return 0 and terminate the program. The last part of this jumping statement is the go to statements. So go to statements transfer control to the label statements. So the go to statement is being avoided because it will slow down the functionality of that program. It makes the program so complex that it will be hard to understand that program. So let's focus on the syntax. So let's go to label and the label statements, right? So the example says int a, for loop is there, inside the for loop if statement is there, and inside the if loop there is go to label is there. Now the name of the label becomes loop here, right? And after that print a. Here is the if block, and here is the for block, and the label statement, the print block, right? So let's concentrate on this. Let's see the output of that program. See, int a, value for the a is initialization. Syntax of the for loop says first initialization and after that condition, and then increment or decrement, right? So here the incrementation, the value of a is 0, condition is satisfied, incremented it. Now inside it will go inside the for loop. Inside the for loop there is a if loop, and inside the if loop there is a go to statement, right? So if the if loop conditions become true, only then this part will be executed, otherwise it will not execute it, right? Here now the condition is a is 0, the condition is also true, it go for the checking. Here now the condition is not true, it will not go inside that loop, it will directly go to the printf value, and the value becomes 1. Why? Because it becomes after incrementation, right? Now it will go again for the loop, the value becomes 2, 3, 4, right? When the value of a is 5, this condition becomes true. Now it will go inside the if loop, this statement will be executed, go to loop, it will go to this part, and it will say it's a jumping out statement. See, and after that it will terminate the program. So the output of this program will be 1 to 4, and at the end it is a jumping out statement. So it is being avoided because it makes the program more complex and hard to understand that, right? So in this session we have discussed about the two control statement, that is case control statement. Inside the case control statement we have discussed the switch statements and the difference between the switch statement and if else ladder, and after that the jumping out statement. In the jumping out statement we have discussed about the break statements, the go to statements, and the continue statement. Now focus on the practice question. So using a switch statement, write a menu driven program which has the following options: adding to number, odd or even numbers, prime number or not, and exit. So we have to make a menu driven program in which in the output we have 4 options given in the questions, right? And now the value of I, we say that switch I, value of that case, value of I will be given, will be provided by the user. And if the user says value of I is 2 and 2 has odd or even number, it will only execute the case 2, not the case 1 and not the case 3. So let's move to the output of that program. Here we will have the 4 statements, that is in the choice you can say that int choice number, right? And after that while loop will be there, print f adding two numbers, so on the further prints. In the next printf will have the odd or even. The next printf we have the, you can say that first option is this, second is this, third, fourth, exit, right? And after that we'll printing out printf enter your choice, right? And then scanf, or we can say that your choice is, here the choice will be entered by the user. Say if the user says your choice, my choice is 4, it will simply exit the program. Or the user says my choice is 3, it will go for the third statement, that is prime number or not. After that we're using switch I, and the program, the case 1, case 2 of so on, case 4 will be executed. So in this session we have discussed about the case control statement and the jumping out statements. For more such videos you can log on to hitbullseye.com.